really appreciate you supporting this format for these for the coaches and listening to their stories and just seeing where they come from, seeing the very positions that they're in, and just to see how they are building the programs. And yeah, I'm like I said, I'm just smart. I'm learning a lot about programs, learning a lot about how they build their programs, and each one that we've had on, I think this is the fifth edition that we've had, and each one of them have brought something different to the table, which says that there is no one way to build a program. I mean, you have to put yourself into it and get some ideas here. But the biggest thing, just get something that you believe in. Most of us are on spring break right now, but that doesn't matter. The show still goes on. I know I'm kind of remote, but thank goodness the technology, we can do all of this stuff and just get out there and have some fun listening to people. These things will be up forever. The shows, because they're recorded and they're posted on my Run the Hammer Facebook page, so you can go back and listen to them and forever, and just go through it and just listen to all of it if you just missed a session or you had to get away and do some things. So what we're going to do now, we are going to get started because we got an hour. I promised these guys I won't hold no more for an hour, and we're going to get together with our guest tonight, the Matt. Do you like Matthew or Matt? I can never figure that out.
Hey, most of my life, everyone called me Matt, but Matthew, Matt, Coach Richard.
Okay.
It all works.
Okay, so I wasn't wrong. Okay, so I'm gonna bring you up, and there he is. One question I've always wanted to ask you, and so I'll just go ahead and ask you right now. How do you get that beard, man?
Hey, to be honest, my dad always wore a beard when he was young and in good health. And as he got older, one of the things we were able to do when his health started to fade is he started growing his beard to remind himself of when he was in good health. And so I started growing mine with him. And after he transitioned, my wife kind of got used to it. And so I continue on with the beard in memory of my father, who, was instrumental in my life.
Is there a chance for me?
There is a chance, Coach. There's a chance. One thing about growing it, you're going to go through what I like to call an ugly phase. So just most people cut it off when it's patchy and real rough. So that's the part you have to get through, and you have a great looking beard, better than mine.
Well, I guess that's where I'm at right now, the ugly phase. How's that? Listen, we're going to get cranked up with you, and again, thank you for coming on. I love doing this. I love seeing, you young guys, because as I've said, almost every week we've done this, it never used to be this way, where you see young African-American coaches, not only just being head coaches, but being dynamic at their jobs and making things happen. So we want to introduce you to the state, introduce you to people who don't know you about, because really introduce you to across the country, because I've couple of my friends from across the country have called me and said, man, this is really good. So make sure you don't split too many verbs like I do. Okay. So why don't you tell people about yourself? Tell people who Matt Richards is.
Well, before I get started, Coach, I definitely want to appreciate you having me on. I'm humbled to you even thought about me to be added to this great podcast. You really putting a platform out there for coaches, especially young coaches like myself, to be introduced to everyone. This is really an honor. And like I said, I'm surprised you even asked me, still a young coach and I'm still growing, and I need to be sitting on a podcast asking guys like you the questions that help me become a better coach. But thank you again for this platform. And more about me. My name is Matthew Richard Jr. What can I say about me? I'm a son, I'm a father, husband, football coach, at co-athletic director currently at Carvers Bay High School. A product of Georgetown County School District. I grew up in the Oatland section of Georgetown County. That's the rural section of Georgetown, if we can call any section of Georgetown rural. Graduated from the historic Choppee High School. It's one of the two schools that were combined to form what we have now as Carvers Bay High School. After high school, I went on to the University of South Carolina, my mom alma mater. Tried to play a little ball there. Didn't do too much playing, but was part of a great program there under Coach Holtz. Went on after college, went on to work at Georgetown County and started coaching down there in Beaufort County. And Coach T actually gave me the honor, Coach Nate Thompson, two-time Hall of Famer, gave me the honor of actually working alongside him. I was lucky enough to, have great men in my life, and Coach T was one of them who was instrumental to make me the man I am today. And, what can I say? I'm a humble guy, work really extremely hard for my team, for my kids, for my community. And I love it at Carvers Bay. It's a unique place to work. It's a tough environment, but if you have thick skin, you get the great rewards of working with some great athletes.
You what year did you graduate from Choppee?
I actually closed it down. So in 2000, I guess after my class, they shut the doors. So my last year playing football was in 99.
Okay. Did y'all I'm trying to did y'all play Burke that year?
Yes, we did. We did play Burke inside of Burke. I remember because on the way out, I think somebody threw some rocks or something at our bus window. We had a crack bus on the way out. So yeah, I remember that game.
I remember I was at Burke at the time, and I was thinking as I was reading your resume and reading your bio, and Nate was the coach then at Chopping, and I remember playing you at your place, and we look like we've always played these kind of games, but we were leading you guys at with about two or 3 minutes left in the ball game. And next thing I know, somebody threw a long pass and caught it, and we lost the ball game. I think it was I don't know if you were on that team or what, but you played us at your last year. You played us at Burke.
Yep.
Okay.
If my memory serves me correct, we were at Burke, but that probably the one and only Demario Green that probably caught that. Probably he's about 5'1", 5'2", but played like he's 6'5".
Hurt my heart because yeah, and I remember us scrimmaging Choppee when I first got to Burke. We scrimmaged Choppee when South Carolina State used to have those camps, and man, those guys beat us like we stole a government mule, man. And in that scrimmage, it was where did these guys come from? And then I had to learn the history of Choppee, and I had to learn what rich tradition, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit, but how rich that tradition was down there at Choppee High School.
Yeah, Choppee have a great tradition of football. That the Gathers definitely put us out there really back in the days, but we had great guys like Jackie Reed, Mac Reed, Isaac Tucker, Demario Grimmage, Dario Grimmage. We had a lot of great guys from back then from the Choppee, Zeke Campbell, a lot of great guys that I look up to, Lamont Bryant, Crazy Eight, who played at Notre Dame. There's a lot of rich history from Choppee.
Over the years, the stories change. How people embellish their stories and everything. And I want to go on record as you certifying this. Now, the thing is that Choppee had 13, 14 players one year and won the state championship. Is that legend? Is that true or not?
I don't think it was quite 13 or 14, but we always had we were always few in numbers, but we always came to play. I would say there probably was just in the low 20s at that time. Probably had to practice with half lines every day.
That was amazing, and I would tell the story all the time because guys would think about you need to have big numbers and everything, but it's really not that. And I use that story all the time and everything. Now you went on to Carolina. Why'd you go to Carolina?
Well, to be honest, I went there. I actually went to a camp with Brad Scott, who was there prior to Coach Holtz. Me and Robert Geathers Jr. and one of my good friends, we all went out there for a camp, and I fell in love with the school there. And we kind of stood out because we were there for a camp, but we were actually hitting like we had on full pads, and kind of caught the eye of some of the coaches there at the time. Just didn't know they were going to have a coaching staff change in between that time. And, so we were talking with those coaches, and I was hoping that, everyone would come with me. Jeremy Geathers, the late Jeremy Geathers, and Robert Geathers Jr. would actually come with me to Carolina. But they had a coaching change, and I think Brad Scott went to Clemson. And, it still had a unique place with me because that's my mom, alma mater, and, always wanted to be a Gamecock.
Okay. And did you play a lot there, or did you walk on? Did you get scholarship, or what?
Ended up becoming a walk-on with the coaching transition. Coach Holtz, actually, great coach, and I wasn't that high of a caliber player at that time or ever in my life for him to offer me a full scholarship. So I ended up walking on, but didn't have to pay anything out of pocket or anything. So I made sure everything was taken care of.
Well, that's great. That is great, and that's speaks loud. I mean, speaks loud for your character and everything that you will sit there and just do and be a team player. A lot of guys, and I know you desperately want to play regularly, but a lot of guys would just sit around and mouth and do all this other stuff. But that was great. Coach T and I were at a meeting, and when we say Coach T, we're talking about Nate Thompson, the great Nate Thompson, and we just got through with our meeting, and we were heading out for lunch and everything. And he said, wait a minute, this boy talking about you and said, I need to look at the wall and see something. I said, Nate, what do you do? All right, Nate, go do what you need to do. And Nate went to the wall, and he started, and you know how Nate can start talking, he's the master rapper of all time. And he went to the wall and started looking at pictures and everything, and plaques and all that stuff. And he said, yeah, that boy, they tell me he made he made this team. And would you like to tell people what team was that you made?
Oh, that all SEC academic team. Didn't play a lot, so I better have good grades.
That is fantastic, man. And I always say the days of the dumb jocks are gone. And that's something that I know you preach all the time with your kids, about academics, that you can do this thing. You can, all you got to do is make your mind up and get it done, and you can get it done. And my hats off to you, because I never knew that until Nate. I had to go back and walk down there to see it too, and I said, wow, never knew that about you. So now the whole state know that you were an All-American. You don't have to label anything. You were
all academic.
No, we ain't even got to do that. You were an All-American, okay? So that was college and everything, and after college, you I noticed you said something about, that on the playground that they used to call you coach, because you really wanted to get into the ins and out. How did you get that love to want to get into? Why did you want to become a coach? Let's put it like that.
Well, I really looked up to the guys in my community that took the time and worked with the kids. Coach Jackie Reed was instrumental in my life as a young age. My father was big time with starting the recreational football team in my area in the Browns Ferry community. And so just watching him coach was, big with me. And I saw the love that he had for it, and he instilled it into me. I went through a teenage years where I didn't always want to do some of the right things, but I still had a love for football, and that love kept me on the right path. And, I try to instill that with my kids that I coach today, that I try to teach them life lessons through the game of football. And we always say we just use football to bring them in so we can put them on the right direction.
And a great role model you are. And when did you know that you were going to be a coach?
I'm actually, I would say probably in elementary school. That if you had asked me anytime, elementary school, middle school, high school, I will always tell you that one day I would be a coach. Anybody who knew me, were young or old, would always tell you. Before I really, really believed it, everyone else believed it in me, and at an early age.
So those guys that you named and talked about earlier, they were very instrumental in your wanting to even look at being a coach and everything.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be around giants in my community that instilled and always told me to plant good seeds before I uproot myself. And that always stuck with me. People like Dab Gathers, Choppee Gathers, all those guys who would come around. And, football was so big, especially in the 90s. So all of that, what they instilled in me, Isaac Tucker, those guys, Jackie Reed, Mac Reed again, everything they instilled in me, just I stayed with me until I went on to high school and was lucky enough to be coached by Coach Spears for a year, and then got Coach T, and everything just blossomed through me, and now I'm here today.
Nate, you've been around Nate for years now.
Mhm.
How instrumental has he been in your development?
Oh, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today without Coach T. Um, he took me under his wing. He told me at an early age one time, he was like, "When you going to come back and replace me?" And I was like, "Coach T, that'll never happen." And he's like, "Man, come on back, come on back home, come work with me." And and I don't know how if he really meant it, but I took that to heart, and I was there. Riding back and forth with them every single day. We would ride to work together for at least probably 7 to 8 years nonstop, and seeing his dedication and to the game of football, and not only to football, but to the kids in our community, that rubbed off on me. Coach T, there's nobody who will work harder. He's a servant leader, and that's why I'm a servant leader myself.
So, not to belittle you, but you just a little little Coach T made over twice.
Yeah, I would love to become a two-time Hall of Famer and state champion. A guy that can average over 10 wins a season, put more than 50 some kids in college to play the game of football. I would love to one day even be close to the pedestal of a giant like Coach T. He may be tall and short in stature, but he's a giant in the game of football in my eyes.
That he is. He's a great friend of mine, and we talk. We don't talk that often, but when we get together, we really talk about the young coaches, and making sure that we can help in any way that we possibly can. And let's talk about this family of yours, because I know you don't run much when you get to the house. So let's talk about the person who actually run the house.
Yeah, I'm married to the beautiful Alisha Richard, and you're exactly right. She runs the house. You know, she complains that I'm always away at Carvers Bay, and she tell me I live there. We're lucky enough to have two sons, Kenneth, who would actually be playing for me next year, and my youngest son, little Matt. He's the third, and then we also have a dog named Leo. So I'm lucky enough to have a great family. I mean, like you said, she take care of the house. You know, it's extremely tough being a coach's wife, you know, always being there, you know, at the kids' game when I can't be there, at their practices and all the time, even coming out to the games to try to support me, even though she don't know much about it. But she comes when she can, and that means a lot to me.
How long have y'all been married?
11 years.
11 whole years, man.
Yep.
You rocking and rolling, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
That is great. And you say you have a son who will be playing with you also next year?
Yeah, yep. Kenneth will be a junior next year. He's competing for the quarterback position, but everything with me has to be earned, whether he's son or not.
Mm-hmm. That is fantastic, man. And that ought to be an experience.
Yeah, it's going to definitely be an experience. You know, last year I think my principal, Mr. Odom, actually sat me down because some of the coaches put a bug in his ear that I'm always too rough on him. So you know, it's definitely an experience for him and experience for me. You know, you love it, but I'm gonna have to take the time and, you know, enjoy it every now and then. But I'm definitely hard on him and probably a little too hard sometimes. But he's a great kid, honor roll kid, does the little things right, and hopefully he can continue on and, you know, and be a good player for us and our community.
Well, enjoy the experience, man, because not too many coaches get that opportunity to coach their own. And now, will you be directly coaching him, or would you let somebody else do that so you can take some of the pressure off of him?
And I had to learn to let someone else because when it's your dad, the one who's doing all the yelling. So I'm lucky enough to have a great offensive coordinator and Coach Michael McCants, who's extremely one of probably the best coaches, unknown coaches in the area. X's and O wise, he's outstanding. He's coached on the college level, coached at Conway High School, and you know, to be honest, he shouldn't be nowhere near the 1A level as a coach. But I'm lucky enough that God placed him at Carvers Bay with me, you know, and he's directly hand-on as my offensive coordinator working with my quarterbacks.
I'm glad you brought that up because we were about to start talking about your program and your philosophy. And I usually have this listed down the road, but I want to talk about them first because a lot of time, and I'm talking about your staff, a lot of time these guys get overlooked and people don't realize that you can't do this by yourself. Now you take all the blame and they give you all the glory and everything. But we who've been around for a while know that you got to have that great staff. So I'm gonna give you an opportunity to talk about your staff and why they're there with you.
You know, I was lucky enough to inherit a great staff. Like I said, Coach Michael McCants, under me, he was originally my O-line coach, and I promoted him to my offensive coordinator. Outstanding X's and O's guy, the passion, the love for the game, the attention to detail. You know, he's unmatched. You know, he probably works way too hard at it. You know, sometimes I have to tell him, you know, listen to some of the older coaches tell me, don't overdo it, don't overthink it. You know, keep it simple. Because that's a cliche philosophy, but that's actually something I live by. Keep it simple, stupid. Also lucky enough to have great guys from my community. Michael Lennon, who's my JV coach. I wouldn't be able to have the program I have today without him instilling it with my younger guys. Volunteers like Tommy Green, you know, guys who are just willing to, that generally love the program, love the community, that'll do everything you ask them to make sure everything works out. I was lucky enough to get another guy, Coach Brandon Johnson, with COVID. You know, South Carolina State actually played 1 year of spring ball instead of football in the fall. And he was taking his classes online. And even though he was the starting center for South Carolina State, he was able to work with me in the fall as my offensive line coach. And that was a great, great asset to the program and great asset to my school. And now that he's graduated, he continue on working with us. And I definitely cannot be the man I am today without the coaches I had. Coaches who, even some of the coaches who left me, Coach Weeks, Coach Tatum, those guys helped me more than you can ever imagine. Even with coaching through COVID, Coach Tatum basically mopped the floors and disinfectant spray that we never even had an issue football wise with COVID. And, that's instrumental to the hard work those guys helping me, whether we're painting the field, setting up practices, dummies, making sure the guys from supervision, off-season training, because we work year round now. It's just instrumental to where I am today.
So those guys have, is it you that they have bought into, or is it the mystique of Carvers Bay? They love Carvers Bay so much that they would do anything, no matter who's there. Which one is it?
Well, like I said, I have coaches who love Carvers Bay and, love the community. And I think it's instrumental to have coaches from the community that works, because any program that I ever take over, I want them to always know that the program is the communities, so to me, it's instrumental having those guys that have that rapport and that relationship with the kids, not just through football, but they go to church with them, their cousins, their uncles, and, their grandfathers or some of the kids that we work with. So, but lucky enough that I was actually able to work 10 years with those guys before I became the head coach. So, it's a little bit of buy-in, or it's a whole lot of buy-in with Carvers Bay, but I think they have a good rapport with me also, because they let me know, Coach, I'm with you 100%, no matter what. Some of the things, I changed that Coach T did, the way Coach T did things. That was a culture shock for those guys, but those guys bought in, and like I said, they work extremely hard, and we couldn't have the program that we have without them.
That's fantastic, man. And playing against you and everything, you can see that. Mm-hmm. You not only see it, you feel it, and that is great. What about your administration? Now, I know you. Well, I'll let you tell me about your administration. I know they're very supportive of you.
Having a supportive administration is key. It is key. It cannot be overstated. And right now I have great administration. Mr. Larry Odom, he's extremely hands-on as a administrator, and that comes with the program, that anybody who's passionate about it. But, he's not just passionate about football. He's passionate about everything at Carvers Bay. You can find him at every volleyball game that he can get to, softball game, baseball, track. He's there, basketball. And it's key, making sure that having an administration that not just looking for what you're doing wrong, but looking for how they can help you and improve your program. And, that's big, having the support of administration. And I thank him for being supportive, but even though he's supportive now, he still called me in, he's still hard on me. But when we leave that office, we leave as a unified front. But if he called me in to say that I'm a great coach, I should say, but he still let me know, hey, I don't know much about the X's and O's as you do, but I just want to know about this, and this. Mm-hmm. And and that's the unique thing about Carvers Bay, because everybody want to question you regarding your program, because they all feel like they have ownership of it, and I love that. But your barber will question you regarding some of your calls and some of your moves. So used to it.
That's great, man. And you said that you were co-athletic director there.
Yeah, I'm I'm co-athletic director. Me and Jeff Mezzatesta, we're actually the co-athletic director. Football falls under me, and volleyball, softball, track and field, and those are the sports that I focus on primarily.
Oh, that's great, man. I'm glad y'all got that team concept because that's the only way things work. You know one.
Yeah, we try to make sure that we don't cause conflict. One athletic director we had years past, Coach Calcutt, always said that you never want to make kids choose which coach they disappoint, especially you're talking about a 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old.
Mhm.
So we try to work extremely well together, share our athletes, because 1A football, you're going to have to share them. There's no room for specialization in sports at the 1A level. And a lot of time kids don't actually know what sport they could actually blossom in by their senior year and work out for them. So I always tell my kids, hey, if football ain't helping you towards your overall goals, then, maybe basketball and track is for you. But, we try to make sure that we still instill life lessons in them, even as they work with us.
Why do you think, this was not one of the questions that I had to ask you, but just thought of one. Why do you think it's such a hard thing for coaches on the 1A level to share their athletes? Why do you think that specialization thing come in at?
I think usually a lot of coaches at the 1A level are trying, a lot of them are trying to move up to different, bigger venues. And they're thinking that if they can have their players all the time focusing on that one thing, that it would make their team better and help them achieve their goals. But like I said, I'm more about my students, and I'm big on helping them achieve their goals, not them helping me achieve mine. So, and I think that if I help them achieve their goals as being better students and being productive citizens, then my goals will be part of what comes along with it. So I don't ask my kids to specialize, because the skills that they get from working with the basketball coach or working with the baseball coach, those translate. And even some of the soft skills of working together as a team. I think, if you have more than one voice preaching some of the same things, that works well with kids, and making sure that, they're not saying that Coach Richard is just saying that, but they're getting the same thing from Coach Mezzatesta. They're getting the same thing from, Coach Morant. They're getting the same thing for these other coaches that are working with them.
So as long as you got the kids and the school first, everything else will work out. Whereas now you start to develop the whole kid. I've said all the time is that you don't know.
Yeah, studies say that, that kids' grades and everything improve if they're involved in something.
Yes, right.
And you need to keep them involved in something. And one of my things saying is, you're blind with no vision, and the coaches try to keep giving the kids a vision of why they come into school, and that's instrumental through sports. That even if that kid just come just to make sure that he's playing basketball, that means that kid's going to keep his grades. He's not going to be truancy. He's not going to be out climbing through somebody's window. He or she's going to be involved in something productive.
Mm-hmm. I've said that for years. You gotta keep these kids involved. And you said something earlier when we got started. You don't know what that kid is going to blossom to do. You just don't. And I think it's a travesty that we as coaches who know better allow this to continue to go on without us voicing it out and everything. But that's enough.
Yeah, I was
correct.
One of my actually younger cousins, Tyrell Richard, everybody was assuming football would be his thing. He actually got a full ride to South Carolina State that was given to him by the track team, even though he was under the impression that he would be playing football and running track. And football didn't work out for him at South Carolina State, but he went on to win the national championship in track and field, and and not MEAC national champion, national championship at all divisions, and went on to be part of Team USA and win a couple of gold medals in track. And football was the focus, and football was what he was focusing on. But it was lucky enough that God instilled the love of track in him, and that propelled him to his collegiate career and to where he is today.
I always tell parents, free is free. You can't do anything when you have to know that free is free, and how you're going to pay these bills, these college bills, if you don't allow these kids to get out there and do everything. You can't put all your eggs into one basket. Even the smartest people in the world diversify.
Yeah, and you want to get out there and show your talent to as many as coaches on as many platforms as possible. So hey, in high school I played 4 varsity sports, and I try to instill in my kids to play as many as possible.
Well, hats off to you for doing that, and we are going to make sure that this thing goes out on this platform, so people can start listening, because the specialization thing doesn't work anymore. You got more kids who can do a whole lot of other thing than bouncing the basketball all 365 or playing football and getting ready. There's so many other things to do to get yourself prepared for that. Now, you got that rabbit community down there. They're different. They're different. Yeah, they're different. Talk about them for a second.
Hey, like you said, they're extremely passionate fans at Carvers Bay, and I love every bit of it. For years, you hear them at first quarter, they'll be yelling fire to the coaches, and and by fourth quarter we'll be winning by maybe 60 points, and it's like but that's the love of that they have with their program. Historic program with the amount of guys that we had to went on to play college football, but it's still with the passion of the fans. Like I said, and they will challenge you on every level, whether it's the grandmother, or it's the dad, mom. They're going to challenge you. Every coach better be ready for it. Every alumni going to want to talk to you, but your phone is going to ring off the hook. Day and night. My wife is already accustomed to my phone ring at 11 o'clock, 11:30 sometimes. And, but that's how passionate they are about football, sports, about their kids. And, anybody who want it that bad, I'm it may be overbearing and maybe a little too much, but you got to love it.
Mm-hmm. Now, do they support you big time financially, and the things that you need or things that you want? And I mean, it's more than just criticizing, but they do. What are some of the good things they do down there for you? Well, for the program.
Like I said, I don't want to say that they're criticizing. They're just very passionate about their sports and their kids.
Mm-hmm.
But Carvers Bay has some unique challenges. We're a school without a town. We don't have any businesses in our area, no brick and mortar businesses, I should say. Besides, we have one gas station across the street. But other than that, you really won't run into many businesses around. So that's one of the unique challenges that 1A schools probably in general have, and we're no stranger to that. We have a passionate fan base, but in a rural area, we are titled. In a rural area, financials are part of our issues, but we ensure that we get everything that our kids need and everything that we can possibly need for our program. That one thing we won't do is let our kids go without. We may not have everything that we want, but we would definitely make sure that we have everything that we need.
You came in after Nate, and it's always tough following a legend. And I don't wish that on anybody who can't handle it. it's just tough. It's tough in the nature and everything. How did you? And I know you were an assistant there for a while, but being an assistant and being the guy in charge is two entirely different things. Instead of worrying about a segment of it, you got the whole shebang now. You got the little ones, you got the seventh grade, eighth graders. Now, I mean, you got everything that you are responsible for. How did you get those kids to buy into you, the head coach?
One thing Coach T did is he started to allow me to be a little bit more vocal leading up to his retirement. But one thing Coach T taught me, that if you are passionate about the kids and you develop a rapport and relationship with the kids, then, before you want to talk to them about X's and O's, actually get to know the kids. Before you want to talk about running outside zone or power or counter or running a 3-4 or 5-3, if you know something about those kids. And most of my first year, my kids know that I went to all of their houses, sat down with their family, their parents, knocked on doors, drove around, chased after them, making sure that they're there. And those kids knew that I really wanted them to be a part of the program, and those kids bought in. We were following up a really, really talented team that only lost one game the year prior. And my first year was the first time in school history that we had 0 returning starters, which was definitely tough for us because we're an extremely young team. But those kids, I promise you, we only won 2 games, but those kids stuck with me. They stuck with me. When a lot of people probably would have, turned their back on me, those kids kept fighting. They kept working. And these kids are now, feeling the effects of being those 9th graders and those 10th graders that should have been probably on a JV team that were out there with me playing on the varsity. And now we're starting to head into the right direction and winning in the way that we are traditionally known for winning.
No, well, that's great. Now, you have placed kids in school.
Mm-hmm.
And how does Carvers Bay do it when it comes to academics? Because you can't go to school unless you got the academics and everything.
Mm-hmm.
How do you all approach that?
One thing I told the interview team when I interviewed for the job, that Carvers Bay will be a student-centered football program. One of the first thing I did is use one of my very few coaching stipend to actually have an academic advisor for my team. Mr. Joseph Enoch works with these kids. He meet with them bi-weekly, ensuring that they have a passing grade. They will not practice. We'll lose practice time if they don't have the grades. The parents know that if you called me and Mr. Enoch let me know that they're not doing what they need academic wise, then they won't be a part of our team. Every year is one of our biggest goals to make sure that we have 100% passing rate by report card time, and it's tough. It's a struggle. We get on probably a lot of the teachers' nerves, but we work at it. We work at it. I'm telling you, Mr. Enoch work at it. My assistant coaches work at it. I have some extremely smart coaches, especially even some of my volunteer coaches, and their help with the kids, whether it's pre-cal, calculus, English 1, 2, 3, or 4. My coaches work with them. The teachers will give us the time that we need, whether it's study hall. If Mr. Enoch let me know that, hey, coach, right now we don't need to be out there practicing. We need to actually be in here getting some work done. The kids will know, hey, they'll come in. Hey, let's go ahead and stop all this. We head into the auditorium. Let's bring all your books. Let's do all that. We're not going to just read them the riot act. We're going to really be about it. I'm going to call them out in front of everybody. I'm going to call your grades out because we're checking it. And like I said, bi-weekly. And if they're failing, then we're checking it weekly. And and we're not just doing this during football season, but Miss Enoch work with our kids year round, whether they're not playing football or not. Even though he's focusing primarily on my football guys, but he's working with them whether they're playing baseball or running track or basketball.
Now, do you because I can hear that coach out there right now. Man, if I do that, I won't have anybody playing. Do you go to rehabilitate the student during the season? I mean, if he is failing a class, do you take him off the field immediately, or do you put a plan? Do you have a plan in place to rehabilitate him?
Yeah, we have a plan. And like I said, the first thing is monitoring. And then we have a great communication with our teachers at the school. One of the things, it relieved it off of me necessarily as the head coach, that I don't have to sit there and chase all of their grades. I have a guy that will do that part for me. And, I know it's tough on coaches to try to, you're the offensive coordinator, you're the defensive coordinator, you're the position coach, you're the strength and conditioning coach, and then you're trying to worry about the grades and all of that too. But I'm lucky enough to have somebody who and he has a great rapport with the kids too, that he works with them. And again, like I said, we check everybody grades bi-weekly. Anybody at that borderline, then that's a weekly check. With Power School and stuff, the kids being able to pull up their grades as current, up to date as possible, and being able to pull it up on their cell phone, that is key for us of tracking it so that we can see whether their grades drop during the week, go up during the week. With my teachers not being afraid to email me immediately when they're having a problem, with my coaches that's in the building that's going to go with them, my Coach Johnson will actually sit in their math class, the English class with them sometimes when he has a break, to ensure that they're doing what it takes to actually get their work done. And, with my parents and being involved too, and that's instrumental also. So our plan is to be there with them, to sit down there with them. If they have to miss practice, they have to miss practice. That's what it is. If I have to push practice back, then parents, I apologize, but we're going to have to push practice back, to the detriment of probably football wise. But the last thing I want a kid to do is to win a state championship, but fail all his classes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that doesn't bode well for anybody, and you do all these little things in the beginning, then you won't have to worry about the big thing at the end. It will take care of itself, and it always does. You got all angels down there. They're down there at Carvers Bay. You got all this good stuff going on, and nobody does anything wrong, so you don't have to worry. But as a matter of fact, y'all don't even have discipline forms and everything down there. But just in case one slips through the crack, how do you handle the discipline issue down there?
Well, like I said, first and foremost, you must have a rapport with the kids. We let parents know firsthand in our parent meeting that your kid's not always going to like me as a coach. They may smile and laugh with me now, but next week they may come home and tell you that I'm the worst human being possible. But if I'm not hard on them as a coach, and pushing them, then I'm not doing them justice. Punishment wise, we don't try to bite off our nose to spite our face, but what we try to do, we try to install some type of punishment role through our captains and through our coaches, whether it's cleaning locker rooms, whether it's being on the naughty list and doing some extra conditioning after practice, whether it's some extra up downs or some rolls or some of the things. The kids are a little bit different, and you can't do as tough as it was when I played, but we still have some of the old school way of ensure our kids buy into what we want to do. But like I said, the first and foremost thing, the kids got to have a rapport with you and understanding that you're not just out there just for football, but you're actually out there for them also too. And I think when you have that relationship with them, it's better off for everybody, and discipline is a little bit easier for you then.
So you have your kids. They've got to the point where they are mature enough to know when they screw up. Just say, "All right, I screwed up." As a matter of fact, they own it. They own the screw up. Most of your kids.
No, they, and we still young adults, and they, like I said, they're not all angels, but I'm blessed enough to have we're a close knit community, and not only just having a rapport with the kids, I have a rapport with most of my parents, and that works wonders. Being even able to call the parent, text the parent, hey, why so and so is not at practice? Do you know what's going on? And parent being able to call you right back and ensure those kids are where they need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Having assistant coaches that don't mind that driving to their house and getting them there when they're missed practice and stuff, and and dealing with captains and having kids to take ownership of it, because I always have to remind, especially my seniors, that this is your team. This won't be my last year coaching football or working football, but this will be your last high school experience. They have to take ownership. We preach blood, sweat, and tears, but I always remind them the coaches aren't going to be out there shedding blood with you. Your teammates going to be out there with you. So I always have, if they may cut practice or miss practice or act out versus me as their coach, but it's tougher doing it when they have to look each other in the eyes and said, I missed practice just because I just wanted to, hang out or do something I shouldn't be doing in the community. So when you have those kids taking ownership of the team, it makes it a lot easier handling discipline.
That's great, man. That is so great. All right, now, one thing before we start, when we played you last year, you had a kid that got injured real bad, and I can't remember his name. How's that kid doing now?
Joshua Walker.
Joshua, yeah, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, great player, but he's an even better person than he was of a player. And even through that heartbreaking injury, he was the undoubted leader of our team, captain of our team. Josh, it goes to his character that he stayed with the team. He was at practice as much as he could. He was at games, at every game that he could. He was still out there being a coach on the sideline. And that was tremendous for us. And he, with him being an honor student that he is and the grades that he is, I look forward to him going to college and maybe not play football, but even though I always tell him it's still time for it, but he has great big plans to do outside of the game of football. And like I said, we always preach to our kids that we don't want football to use them up. We're using football to help us achieve our goals. And that's what he did. And even if football is over for him, he used football enough to help him achieve his goals. He had a great career with us, but like I said, even better person. Our basketball slogan was "I am Josh." All our basketball players wore that on their back. Just to let everybody know that no matter how hard you work at it, this play could be your last play. So, and Josh gave it everything he got on every play. Even the first thing he said when I ran out to him on the field was, "Coach, I probably should have went down. I should have went down." He had about 4 or 5 guys on his back, but he was trying to pull everybody into the end zone if he could. Mm-hmm. But that's the way he played. He played everything. He gave you everything on every play. He played like he was 250 pounds, even though he's probably about 160. But his imprint on my team definitely did not stop once he got injured. He continued on, and he was continue on being the unquestioned leader of our team. And throughout all of sports, even now, he's still there. He's still at track meets. He's still at baseball games. He's still there supporting the guys. He still, coached them up from the sideline. All of us shed tears, when, we realized that he couldn't play again for his senior season. But like I said, his leadership and his mark went beyond just playing on the field of play.
Well, I tell you, when you see that young man again, I don't know, give him a fist bump for me, give him a hug, and tell him he has the ultimate respect from this side over here, man. And, whatever I can do to help him in the future, let us something. He just let me know, because you can tell he's a great kid. And
yes, sir.
Yeah, and I just hate what happened to him. You got a lot of heroes in your history, so I'm gonna get you to name some of them. I'm gonna get you to give somebody some props tonight. Okay.
Like I said, I couldn't be the man I am today. First and foremost, without my parents. My dad, the late Matthew Richard Sr., he instilled hard work, dedication, the love of sports to go above and beyond in me. To actually taking notice of the game of football at an early age, I can attain that to him. Again, Coach Nate Thompson, I wouldn't be the coach I am without his tutelage, taking me in from just a position coach and trusting me to become a defensive coordinator for him, questioning everything I did, challenged me every way, making sure that I can stand on it, make sure I can defend it. From my rec league coaches, Jackie Reed, Mac Reed, to people like Jumpy Gethers, Dab Gethers, Coach Isaac Tucker, from even the coaches that even work for me, that even though they may be my assistant coach, but I look at them as mentors to me because they're such great men. The Honorable Judge Jonathan Giles, again, my JV coach, Michael Lennon, he's like a dad to me, even though I don't tell him that, but I look at him like a dad because he's such a great man and what he does for his family and balancing family life and coach life and raising great kids. I look up to those guys. Even some of my peers, we may have been the same age or about the same age, but I always look up to them. I had great friends. Robert Gethers Jr., who had an extensive career in the NFL with the Bengals. He's a great man, great character, great father, great husband, a great friend. He's a great person that I can call and lean on, answer the phone, who's actually coaching now himself. Aldrich Brown, those guys were instrumental, even though like I said, we're the same age, instrumental in making me the man I am today. People like the late Jason Anderson, putting that dog mentality into me. My frat brothers, my LBs, all of those guys were instrumental, even though, like I said, we're the same age, but they always say you are average of the people that you'll be around the most. And I was lucky enough to be around great men, great people. And, I can attain that nothing to God. My siblings, Elder Mark Richard, my sister, Dr. Christine Lewis, I'm probably I'm probably the outsider in family because those my siblings are such great people in their careers in life that I guess I'm just a little old football coach when they're big time doctors and pastors and stuff. And, so I've been blessed, like I said, education and football and stuff, been in my family, from my great grandfather even donating the property for Brownsville Elementary School to even be built in the old days, to my daddy, one of the founding members of the first recreational football team. It's been instilled in me, and I can give nothing other but the honor to God, who who's head of my life and made sure that I am the man I am today. My wife, my kids, They keep me grounded, keep me straight, keep me focused. Like I said, I have great administration. Terry Cox, you know, Mr. Larry Odom, Mr. Bonzer, even down to the district now, you know, with our superintendent, Mr. Price, Michael Johnson, all of those guys who are working with sports and trying to push not only Carvers Bay, but Georgetown County to the next level in sports and athletic. And, you know, from school board members like Randy Walker, you know, Marvin Neal, community leader. Those guys are, like I said, I have a lot of giants looking up to, even from guys like yourself from afar, meeting you guys at Coach's Clinic, going to clinics and being around people like Reggie Kennedy, being around a great coach like my cousin Charlie Richard, who I can always bounce stuff off of, you know, other coaches, Leonard Stafford. You know, I have so many people to name. I don't want to miss them all, but you know, saying that. But you know, but there's so many people that I owe everything I am today to, because they all played a crucial part in my development, and I'm thankful for them.
Your sister is Christine Lewis, right?
Yeah, Dr. Christine Lewis. She's a speech pathologist.
Yeah, she blowing it up with messages saying that you're the best thing since sliced bread. Just want you to let you know that. Hello, Miss Christine. I mean, Dr. Christine.
Blow me up. You know, hopefully I did my community justice. But you know, I'm excited to be the coach at Carvers Bay. I'm excited for the future of Carvers Bay athletics in general, in Carvers Bay football. You know, I'm thankful for the community. They stuck with me when first took over and went from only losing one game to the next year of only winning 2 games. And, you know, going 2-7 my first year, only winning 1 game in region play, to my second year going undefeated in region, being region coach of the year, to last year losing 1 game in region play. You know, I'm thankful. I'm thankful for, you know, like I said, the fans. You know, they're hard on me, but like I said, I love it because their passion fuels me, and they won't let me ever take a break. And they want to ensure the best for the kids in the school. And you know, they always make sure I'm on my P's and Q's, and I'm thankful for it. You know, with every talk I have to have at the barbershop or at the grocery store, or you know, at the gas station. You know, I'm thankful for it, you know, and it fuels me. It fuels the kids. I love having a passionate fan base. You know, I would hate to go to be at a school that the fans weren't there, because as hard as they are on me, but they're there to support whether we're on the road or not. So any school that know that if you put Carvers Bay on your schedule, you're going to have a great gate when you see us, because we're definitely going to come. No matter how far we go, they're going to definitely show up for their guys. And you, like I said, they're not there for me for saying, they're here for the love of Carvers Bay and their kids and the support that our community do for their kids in their school.
I asked everybody the last 2 questions, and I need you to answer these 2 questions for me. If you could spend an hour with one person in this world outside of football, who would that person be?
Spend an hour with one person on this world?
In this world, and not football related.
Let's say one person. You definitely caught me off guard with that one. Spend an hour with one person in this world, not football related. Just 1 hour, you know, and that's living or dead.
Living or dead.
If I can spend 1 hour with one more person that's living or dead, it would definitely be my dad. Like I said, he's instrumental in my life. The beard is still our connection. So if I could do that 1 hour with anyone dead, it would definitely be my dad. To get an extra hour with him, to be able to show him what I am today. He wasn't able to see me become a head football coach. I made some promises to him that I vowed to keep. And so that would be the one person, living or dead, that But one person living, spend 1 hour with, it would definitely still be my wife. I always, as much time as I can with her. She don't get enough time as she deserve with me. Um, and nobody does. That's one of the toughest thing is becoming a coach, and especially at a small school, at a 1A school that you wear a lot of hats. So that means you're always gone. Um, so family and friends know that you usually have to miss a lot of engagements and stuff. I'm looking at a bunch of messages popping up on the phone as I speak to you about my friends wanting to get together for the 40th birthday party, and of course they want to get together during football season.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's a no go for me. So but it definitely would be my wife. Living and dead would definitely be my dad.
All right, now let's get to the football. If you could name one football coach that you can spend an hour with, just you and him or her have to use that
Mm-hmm.
in a room together 1 hour, who would that coach be?
Football coach, spent an hour with Mike Tomlin's Pittsburgh Steelers. He's a great coach. I'm not a Pittsburgh Steelers fan per se, but I'm a fan of his. What he's done to be the consistency, the X's and O's, the knowledge. You've never met a coach that wouldn't say that he is not a great guy and he's not the real deal. So Coach Tomlin, I definitely would want to spend an hour with him to pick his brain apart about developing that culture, that winning culture. With him, because at the high school, the kids graduate and leave. In the NFL level, free agency, and there's a draft, always bringing in a new group. And then, I would love to see how he developed that environment of even coaching grown men. That's definitely different there, and especially grown men with millions of dollars and who don't have to be there and may not be as motivated. And for him to get everything out of his teams, and he would definitely be a guy I would want to spend an hour with.
Well, that is fantastic. I asked everybody that, and right now Mike Tomlin is ahead with 2 votes. You and somebody else pick Mike. Okay, it's amazing. Yeah. Well, man, I really appreciate it, man. I've learned. I was taking notes as we're going along, as always, and just to say, you've taught me something. You've given me some things to look at, and I really appreciate you being on. I get more out of this than y'all get out of it, really, man. And I have a blast just sitting here and letting you guys talk. So you're done good. Okay.
Coach, like I said, I'm honored to be here. I've looked at the resume of other coaches, and hopefully one day I can have a resume like yourself and the coaches that you've had on your program. Thank you again for having this platform and open up the world to us coaches down here in South Carolina. I look forward to what football has in the future. Football is changing, but it's still football. Still about the Jimmies and Joes more than the X's and O's. You still only can put 11 guys on the field at a time, and thank you for opening this platform again. And I look forward to continue being a fan of yours and fan of your platform, your podcast. And I'll definitely be tuning in. All of Carvers Bay will be tuning in also. The Low Country, the PD area, we'll definitely be tuning in. Continue everything you've done. Continue being the coach that you are. Continue to keep dropping those nuggets to me at the coaches' clinics. And every time we run into each other, sometimes, I'm stressed and wired, and you always give me a little nugget every now and then. It's like, Coach, at the end of the day, you got to remember this is still just a game. That's one of the little nuggets that you gave me this year. And, I definitely appreciate that.
Okay, man. Well, you go spend some time with Mama now. Okay. And thank you, all the people who got on live on Facebook Live and YouTube. This thing goes to YouTube too, and LinkedIn. I really appreciate you supporting the platform. And next week, we'll have 2 more. We got one of the state champion coaches from Georgia, and we got a coach out of Sumter. You know, all African,
Yes.
all African Americans. So we continue to bring the best here so they can talk about their program, you know, and what they're doing to make them so good. Y'all have a good night. I'm signing off. Matt, you have a good night, and just hug somebody and tell them you love them. You know, that's the biggest thing
Yes,
that you
sir.
can ever do. Y'all have a good night and good night. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Okay.